Why we love the way we do.
Have you ever noticed how a tiny moment in a relationship can suddenly feel like a life or death crisis? Maybe it's a text message you sent 3 hours ago that still hasn't been read. Or maybe it's that look on your partner's face, that slight turning away when you were trying to share something important. In a split second, your chest tightens, your mind starts spinning a story. They're leaving. I'm too much. I'm not enough. I need to fix this right now. Or perhaps you're on the other side. Someone asks you for more closeness, more vulnerability, and suddenly you feel like you're losing air. You feel a desperate need to pull back, to go into your shell, to protect the one person you can actually count on, yourself. Why do we do this? Why does love, which is supposed to be our sanctuary, often feel like a battlefield? Today, we are going to talk about attachment styles. But we aren't just going to look at them as categories or diagnoses. We are going to look at them as the sacred blueprints of your soul. We're going to explore why your heart learned to protect itself the way it did, and how you can finally find your way back to a secure base. If you know your attachment style, please share it in the comments below. Your input could be very helpful to others. To understand where these blueprints come from, we have to travel back to London in the 1940s. Meet John Bowlby. Bowlby was a psychiatrist working in a world that was literally falling apart during and after World War II. At the time, the prevailing medical wisdom was cold. It was clinical. Experts believed that as long as a child had food, water, and a clean bed, they were fine. They thought love was just a secondary interest, a luxury. But Bowlby saw something different. He spent time in hospitals where parents were only allowed to visit their sick children for 1 hour a week. He watched these children go through a terrifying transformation. First, they would scream and protest, the protest of the soul. Then they would fall into a deep, silent despair. And finally, they would go numb. They would stop looking for their parents altogether. He also studied a group he called the 44 Juvenile Thieves. These were kids who had ended up in the criminal system for petty theft. When he looked at their histories, he found a startling pattern. Nearly all of them had experienced a major, prolonged separation from their primary caregiver in their first 5 years of life. Bowlby realized something that changed everything. Humans do not just hunger for calories, we hunger for connection. Connection is a biological imperative. Without a secure base, a person who is reliable, consistent, and warm, our nervous systems never learn how to feel safe in the world. We become like a ship sent out to sea without an anchor.
Bowlby called this the internal working model. I like to call it your love map. Think of it like this. If your primary caregiver was a secure base, if they were a steady lighthouse that stayed lit even when you were having a stormy tantrum, your map tells you, the world is safe. I am worthy of being cared for. If I get lost, I can always find my way home. But if that lighthouse was flickering, if it was only on when you were good, or if it went dark whenever you showed your true emotions, then your map was drawn with lines of fear and protection. Maybe your map says, I have to be perfect or they'll leave. Maybe it says, people are dangerous, so I must stay alone to stay safe. Maybe it says, I am invisible unless I scream for attention. This map is your attachment style. It's not your fault that you have the map you do. It was drawn for you before you could even speak. But here is the spiritual truth. You are the one holding the pen now. In the next hour, we are going to look at the 4 specific types of maps: the secure, the anxious, the avoidant, and the disorganized. We're going to see which one you've been using to navigate your relationships, and we're going to start the sacred work of redrawing your map towards security. Because when you find your secure base within yourself, you no longer have to fear the storm. So, how do we find ourselves on this map? Psychologists found that our attachment style is essentially the result of two deep, unconscious questions we ask every time we interact with someone we love. The first question is, am I worthy of love? This is your view of yourself. The second question is, are others reliable and safe? This is your view of the world. Think of it like a compass. If you answer yes to both, you're in a state of security. But if there's a no hidden in there, your heart starts to build a protective wall. Let's look at these four archetypes, not as labels to judge ourselves, but as spiritual flavors of how we survive and seek connection. First, we have the secure attachment. In a spiritual sense, this is the divine union. This is the person who grew up with that steady lighthouse we talked about. Their compass says, I am okay, and you are okay. If you have a secure attachment, you don't panic when your partner needs a night out with friends. You don't feel like you're losing yourself when you get close to someone. You view conflict not as a sign that the relationship is dying, but as a conversation that needs to happen. The spiritual vibe? Imagine a tree with deep, deep roots. It can sway in the wind, it can lose its leaves in the winter, but it never doubts its place in the earth. That is the trusting heart. You are comfortable being alone, and you are comfortable being one with another. Next, we move into the anxious attachment. I call this the seeking heart, or what the mystics might call the holy longing. If you have an anxious style, your compass says, I'm not sure I'm worthy of love, but I know I need you to feel okay. This style often develops when a caregiver was inconsistent. Sometimes they were warm and present, other times they were cold or distracted. As a result, you learned to become a hyper-tuner. You became an expert at reading the tiniest shift in someone's tone of voice or body language. The vibe, you are the pursuer. When you feel a gap in the connection, you try to close it immediately. You might text more, ask, "Are we okay?" 10 times a day, or try to please the other person so much that you forget who you are. The spiritual truth, there is a beautiful sensitivity in the anxious heart. You have a massive capacity for intimacy, but your spiritual work is learning that the secure base isn't out there in your partner. It has to be built inside your own soul. Then we have the avoidant attachment. This is the self-reliant heart, or the sacred solitude. This style forms when a child's emotional needs were met with rejection or were simply ignored. You learned very early, if I need someone, it hurts, but if I don't need anyone, I'm safe. Your compass says, I am okay, but others are a lot of work. The vibe? You are the withdrawer. When a relationship gets too heavy or emotional, your system triggers an alarm. You might suddenly feel suffocated. You start noticing your partner's flaws. You might think, I just need my freedom. You value independence above everything else because to your inner child, independence equals survival. The spiritual truth? You have a powerful inner temple. You know how to be alone, but your spiritual challenge is realizing that your independence is actually a suit of armor. You aren't free if you're too afraid to let someone in. True freedom is the ability to be both a whole self and part of a pair. Music.
A deep, resonant bass note anchors the transition. Most of us can see ourselves in one of these three, but there is a fourth style, one that is often born from the deepest shadows of our history. We'll look at that next, and then we'll see what happens when these different hearts try to dance together.
Finally, we come to the most misunderstood of the four: disorganized attachment. In a spiritual sense, this is the shattered blueprint. While the other three styles are organized, meaning they have a consistent strategy for dealing with stress, the disorganized heart has no strategy. This style often forms in environments where the secure base was also the source of fear. Imagine a child who is frightened and instinctively runs to their parent for safety, but the parent is the one scaring them. The child's brain is caught in a biological paradox. I must approach for survival, but I must flee for survival. The vibe. As an adult, this feels like having one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake at the exact same time. You desperately want intimacy, but the moment it feels real, you feel a sense of dread or dissociation. You might sabotage a good thing because safe feels dangerous. The spiritual truth. This is the journey of reclaiming the self. If your blueprint was shattered, your work is about learning that safety is a slow build. It's about teaching your nervous system that you are no longer that helpless child, that you have the power to protect yourself now. You are learning to put the pieces of the mirror back together so you can finally see your own light. When styles clash. The magnetic attraction, why we choose the wrong people. Now that we know the players, let's look at the stage. Why is it that we often find ourselves in the same painful relationship patterns over and over? There is a strange psychological magnetism at work. We aren't necessarily attracted to people who make us happy, we are attracted to people who feel familiar. If you have an anxious style, you are often a heat-seeking missile for the avoidant. Why? Because the avoidance distance feels like a challenge your inner child was born to solve. When they pull away, it triggers your holy longing, and you think, if I can just get them to love me, I'll finally be worthy. And if you are avoidant, the high energy and pursuit of the anxious person feels like passion. It confirms your internal story that people are needy, which allows you to stay in your sacred solitude armor. It is a perfect, painful lock and key. Dr. Sue Johnson, the creator of emotionally focused therapy, calls this the demon dialogue. It is a dance where neither person is the villain, but the dance itself is the enemy. The dance goes like this. Something happens, a missed phone call, a misunderstood comment. The anxious person feels a ping of abandonment. Their heart rate goes up. They move toward the partner, often with a protest, a complaint, a criticism, or a frantic question. The avoidant person hears that protest not as a cry for love, but as a failure report. They feel criticized and inadequate. Their nervous system screams retreat. They shut down, they go silent, or they leave the room. This silence is the anxious person's worst nightmare. They push harder to get a response. The avoidant person withdraws further to stay safe. The spiritual insight. In this moment, both people are actually screaming for the same thing, safety, but they are speaking two different languages. The anxious person is saying, "Please tell me I matter," through their anger. The avoidant person is saying, "Please don't reject me for being imperfect," through their silence. If you are in this dance right now, I want you to take a breath. You are not toxic. Your partner is not broken. You are two people with two different maps trying to find your way to the same destination. In the next segment, we're going to talk about how to stop the dance, how to step off the floor, look at your partner, and finally start building a bridge that won't collapse. The science of the spiritual alarm. Before we talk about healing, we have to talk about your brain. When you were in that push-pull dance we just described, your brain isn't in its rational center. It's in the amygdala, the ancient almond-shaped part of your brain responsible for survival. When an anxious person feels a disconnection or an avoidant person feels smothered, the amygdala screams, "Danger!" It doesn't know the difference between a tiger chasing you and your partner not answering a text. In both cases, your spiritual self, the part of you that is kind, wise, and loving, gets hijacked. The spiritual insight. You cannot think your way out of a nervous system hijack. You have to feel your way out. This is why just talking about it often doesn't work when you're triggered. You have to learn to calm the animal inside before you can talk to the soul of the other person.
Here is the most important thing you will hear today. Your attachment style is not a life sentence. Psychologist Diane Poole-Heller and others have shown that we can develop what is called earned secure attachment. This is a profound spiritual evolution. It means that even if you didn't get these secure base as a child, you can build one as an adult. The concept: you are essentially becoming the ideal parent for your own inner child. You are learning to provide yourself with the consistency, the warmth, and the boundaries that were missing from your original blueprint. The vibe. This is the work of integration. It's the moment you realize that the hole in your heart isn't meant to be filled by a partner. It's meant to be healed by you, so that you can then share your wholeness with a partner. Somatic awareness, the body as the map. So how do we start? We start with the body. Attachment isn't a thought, it's a physical sensation. Have you ever noticed that when you're anxious, your breath gets shallow? Or when you want to withdraw, your shoulders tighten and your heart feels like it's behind a lead wall? The practice, the pause and pulse. The next time you feel a trigger, I want you to try this. Stop. Don't send the text. Don't walk out of the room. Look inward. Where is the feeling in your body? Is it a fluttering in the stomach? A heat in the face? Breathe. Take 3 slow breaths into that exact spot. The spiritual truth. By staying with the physical sensation without reacting to it, you are telling your nervous system, I am safe. I am here. I am the observer, not the victim of this feeling. This is the first brick in your new secure base. You are teaching your inner child that there is a witness inside you who is steady even when the emotions are high. A moment of silence. When you learn to regulate your own nervous system, the dance changes. Because when you aren't fighting for your survival, you can finally start fighting for the relationship.
The sacred bridge. We've talked about how to settle your own nervous system, but we are social creatures. We aren't meant to do this entirely alone. This brings us to a beautiful concept called co-regulation. Co-regulation is the biological process where one person's steady nervous system helps tune another person's stressed system. Think of it like a tuning fork. When you are secure, or even when you are practicing earned security, you become a lighthouse for your partner. You aren't just fixing a problem, you are offering them your peace. The practical tool, the secure signal. If you are in that push-pull dance we talked about, the way out is through a repair attempt. In a secure relationship, the goal isn't to never fight, it's to repair quickly. For the anxious heart, instead of criticizing, you never listen. Try a vulnerable signal. I'm feeling a little disconnected right now, and it's making me feel anxious. Can we just sit together for a minute? For the avoidant heart, instead of disappearing, try a safe exit signal. I'm starting to feel really overwhelmed, and I don't want to say something mean. I need 15 minutes to quiet my head, but I promise I'm coming back to finish this. The spiritual truth. The repair is one of the highest spiritual acts you can perform in a relationship. It is an act of humility. It says, our connection is more important than my need to be right or my need to be safe in my shell. When you repair, you aren't just fixing a fight, you are literally reweaving the fabric of your souls. Before we finish, I want you to take a moment to integrate everything we've explored. Close your eyes if you're in a safe place to do so. Take a breath. Imagine your heart not as a muscle, but as a landscape. Look at the parts of that landscape that are fenced off, the avoidant cliffs where you hide. Look at the parts that are thirsty and reaching out, the anxious valleys that long for rain. Now, imagine a figure walking into that landscape. This is your higher self, the wise, secure part of you that has always been there, even if it was quiet. Watch as this wise self walks to the inner child who is scared or lonely. See yourself sitting down next to that child. You don't need to change them. You don't need to fix their map. You just need to say, I am here now. I am your secure base. You don't have to scream to be heard, and you don't have to hide to be safe. We are doing this together. Feel the relief in your body as that child finally leans their head on your shoulder. That feeling, that is the beginning of your new blueprint.
We have covered a lot of ground today. We've gone from the cold hospital wards of post-war London with John Bowlby to the deep somatic chambers of your own heart. If there is one thing I want you to take away from this hour, it is this. Awareness is the end of the autopilot life. Up until today, you might have felt like a victim of your type. You might have felt too needy or too cold. But those are just labels for survival strategies you no longer need. You are a vast, complex spiritual being, and your attachment style is simply the learning you did to survive. The call to adventure. As you move back into your world, your relationships, and your work, I want you to be a curious observer. When you feel that old trigger, that urge to chase or that urge to run, just stop, breathe, name it. Say, ah, there is my old map trying to lead me down a dead-end road. And then choose a different path. Choose the path of the secure heart. You are worthy of a love that feels like a safe haven. You are worthy of a connection that doesn't require you to shrink or to scream. Secure attachment is your biological birthright, and it is your spiritual destination. Thank you for doing this work with me today. Go gently, and remember, the most important secure base you will ever build is the one within yourself. To receive more videos like this, please remember to subscribe.